Hey guys, it's Crafty here from Living in Beta, and in today's video we jump back into the world of Starfield, shifting our focus to how our virtual space explorer is going to look, act and feel. We'll touch on the character creation, the perks it has to offer, and how combat is starting to shape up in Starfield. So let's strap in, pictures of our favourite celebrity we wish to build in the game at the ready, Nick Offerman, and let us explore what just might be possible.
I'm a simple man. I like pretty dark-haired women and breakfast food.
The best place to start, and what could arguably be the most important part of any RPG, is the character creation and customization. If you're anything like me, I like to spend hours combing through the finer details to make sure the character I create is something I would still be proud of 100 plus hours into my playtime. And let us be fair here, Starfield is definitely a game we'll be spending more than 100 hours within. We first begin waking up from what seems like some sort of accident and are faced with the task of identifying our records on a tablet. This, by the way, is a very creative way to start a character creation, continues the theme of previous Bethesda games, which incorporate the character creation within the story itself. Though I did get sick of traveling on that pesky cart in Skyrim and listening to the moaning of the horse thief all the time.
Oh gods, where are they taking us? No, this can't be happening. This isn't happening.
Hey, how about a little less questions and a little more shut the hell up?
From here, we start by cycling through employee records, picking from one of the 40 presets, modeled from scanning a wide range of faces from different age groups and ethnicities, to give kind of a lifelike feel to what would essentially make the base for our new character. Bethesda themselves boast that this is the most in-depth creation they have ever had in their games, so much so that they mentioned that almost every NPC in the game can be replicated by us as the player, which does bode well for those Reddit/Instagram fandom pages. They also echoed that it is important to not only be an in-depth character creation, but also be simple and fun to use so every player does not find it as a chore and it's not a barrier to replayability. I particularly like the fact that you could, for example, change the walk style. I never really thought about walking style before. Once we are set on our looks and have picked the best mustache the game has to offer, we move on to an additional section around backgrounds. Now these are there to help flesh out the backstory of your character and start you out with related basic skills, which in turn can help you out in the open world. They give us an example of when and how these can be used, referencing a job from a guy in a restaurant, which benefits from a skill they named Beast Hunter. I see this as potentially mimicking something like Mass Effect or Cyberpunk, you know, the life paths, where conversation options or dialogue are also influenced heavily by these, and maybe passing comments by NPCs or other characters in the game can change depending on what you choose. They have expanded this further by also allowing us to pick up to 3 traits from the start. This is where, in my opinion, things get even more interesting outside of traditional perk selection. Again, they reference some examples here, from getting a damage buff at low health but then being constantly wanted by mercs, being able to visit your parents and receive gifts for your troubles, even though it did look pretty annoying, and also to be able to bypass enemies, for example, in a dogfight or out in space, who share the same religion as you, a little snake thing. I've never seen it before. But of course, the biggest highlight here was the biggest fan trait, harping back to a classic from Oblivion, where a companion of sorts just loves to be around you. All of this seems to be optional, and as the team so elegantly showcased, the traits can also be removed.
And if you want to remove a trait, there are ways to do that too.
What a view! It's a feast for the eyes. Off we go to another adventure.
Nice. Perks are where our character's identity really starts to shine through. Starfield breaks this down into 5 perk trees. We have physical, which stereotypically covers elements like carrying capacity and endurance. Social, which helps you become the smooth talker IRL, does not allow you to be. Combat, which of course focuses on weapon skills, abilities and damage. Science, which seems to focus on things like healing and tech, which holds its foundations in robotics, base building and ship customization. Now in general, nothing too different or overwhelming here. Each tree has perks, and each time you level up, you get a skill point to spend in those trees. You know, you focus on the areas that suit your needs. But Bethesda has allowed for more progression within the perks themselves in the form of challenges, which I feel is probably where this system really starts to shine. It's looking like each perk has a maximum of 4 ranks, and each rank has an increasingly difficult challenge to achieve them. So you start off basic, do something simple, and then you build your way up to rank 4 to get the best out of that perk. Although we don't have all the information on challenges thus far, there is some information floating around to give us an idea of how these challenges will actually look. For example, in the showcase, they touched on a perk named Intimidation, which is a focus on intimidating NPCs to make them flee. You can see on the left-hand side that ranks can be achieved by completing challenges relating to intimidating a certain number of NPCs. This is super straightforward and probably one of the basic challenges you can see, and allows you to really work on those challenges inside a build that maybe leans towards the playstyle that suits your challenges. I'll leave a link to the Starfield wiki in the description below for you to look through in more detail on all the other things that we know so far. My overall thoughts on the perk trees and perks themselves are pretty positive. There seems to be a lot of variety without ever complicating things, and it gives us as players lots to think about when building out our character. I fully do agree as well with the fact that I do think it's going to be a natural progression with the challenges. I don't think it's going to be something where perks themselves you'll be chasing too much down. Maybe at rank 4 on some of the perks you will have to go out your way. You know, I picture some of the maybe achievements you have just in my mind from Cyberpunk. You have to shoot a grenade when it's thrown in the sky, right? An enemy throws a grenade at you. I don't know if it'll be that strict. I think if you're going to get that kind of strictness, though, it'll be in the higher ranks. But in general, it gives us something else to chase. I kind of think it mimics, I'm shooting from the hip here a little bit, but you know, Call of Duty, when you got to do certain challenges to unlock certain camos. That's how it feels. Maybe it won't be that in depth, but for me, perks are something really fun, helps flesh out your character, and then you have those challenges that maybe you can talk about with your friends or just in general enjoy doing. Now with combat, the game's improvements over previous Bethesda titles comes to the forefront once again. They have a built-in all-new animation system, giving the players the option to play in third person or first person, with Todd Howard mentioning that they even had consultation from id Software, the creators of Quake and Doom, on things like how graphics look in combat, how the environment reacts, etc. The aim here is to find a balance between what is realistic, what's simulation, and what is Hollywood, with the main aim being what they think would be fun for the player, whilst maintaining a more dynamic and fluid combat system. This can only be a positive thing for the player, really, as we know how engaging the combat in those games can be, you know, in Doom and things like this, and it is great to see studios under the Microsoft umbrella working together. When it comes to weapons, they have really upped their game here as well, stating that there are more weapons and mods than any other game they've ever done before, giving us access to things like sights, scopes, magazines, grips, barrels, and even different ammunition, which can allow us to cater our build to something that suits the environment we're in. Even things like gravity being different for each planet can have a difference, with ballistic weapons being fired in 0G pushing you backwards, and energy weapons allowing you for a more stable firefight. It's a really nice touch and again adds to the environmental realism. They've also shown off a weapon called Mag, or a Mag weapon, as another option in our arsenal, which is a high-powered ballistic style weapon. Each barrel has its own targeting laser, and they can dish out some serious damage, with things like silenced pistols, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and traditional sniper rifles rounding out the collection. I truly believe there's something for everyone here. And let us not forget, there's a whole perk tree for combat, allowing us to fine-tune the damage of a weapon or the explosion radius of a grenade, accompanying this with the boost pack training in the tech tree, traditionally only used to help travel but can always give you an upper hand in combat scenarios. What is almost a guarantee is that this perk tree will be housing what could be some really outlandish perks and take what we see as a traditional combat to a whole new level. To me personally, it looks like Bethesda have taken feedback from players of previous IPs, accompanied that with the advice and experiences of other game studios, and really gone up a notch on what we're able to do with our characters. Of course, I'm a fanboy, and when the masses get their hands on the game, this opinion can change, but 25 years in the making, 8 years since their last IP, this must have been time well spent. Let us know down in the comments what you're most looking forward to in Starfield, and your opinions of what you've seen today. But for now, thank you very much for watching this video. Like the video if you liked it, share with your friends and family, subscribe for more content like this one, and remember, we are not alone.